Hey, what's going on, everybody? How's it going? So, I got a chance to go out to the theater and check out Peppermint. And oddly enough, this has actually been a pretty decent week for movies, in my opinion. Because I just watched two Netflix movies that were actually surprisingly good, and then I went to see this movie that I thought was gonna kind of be a piece of shit. But after leaving the theater, I was like, you know what? This movie's dope as fuck, actually. Albeit Peppermint isn't really quite like John Wick dopeness, but you can tell it was heading in that direction, though. The basic plot of the movie is kind of your traditional revenge tale. Jennifer Garner plays a mom whose daughter and husband got killed by a bunch of gangbangers. And now she's on the hunt to try and find them and all of their bosses, and meanwhile also go after some of the corrupt politicians and people in the police force. And then a bunch of wild and crazy shit happens. Now, if you couldn't tell, I got a surprising amount of enjoyment out of this movie. Some of the negatives that I have to say, though, are that the villain is kind of one note. He's kind of a stock villain with an accent. Also, these revenge tales are nothing new, so you can kind of tell where the movie's going, or at least a general outline for it. And the pacing does get a little funky here and there, where you're just kind of like, okay, come on now, speed it up. And lastly, I'm gonna swirl a positive in there, though. The movie is actually kind of funny here and there. Like, there's clearly a few moments where it was intentionally trying to make the audience laugh, but there was one moment where a news reporter is interviewing somebody, and it was completely unintentional, and literally everybody in the theater started laughing immediately after it happened. So technically it was still funny, but it wasn't intentionally funny, so that was kind of a alright. But besides that, I was pretty captivated with the movie. The acting really isn't anything super special, but it wasn't horrible either. It was kind of whatever. And the mediocre acting was mostly the bad guys for the most part. The main villain probably did the best job, though. There was a weird range of music when it came to like either classical or like a soundtracky type thing. But whatever it was, it usually fit the scene, so it was okay. Jennifer Garner did a pretty good job for most of the movie. There was a couple times where she overdid it. But I also liked that her character really didn't have that much dialogue throughout the entire movie. I thought that was good. And the first 20 minutes of the movie, it felt a little bit slow going, but once the movie gets going, it actually really gets going, and I liked the way that the movie was written and kind of how the plot kind of unfolds. Because when Mama Bear gets angry, she gets angry. Which leads me to my favorite part about this movie. All the action scenes are fucking dope. When I said before that it wasn't quite as dope as John Wick, but it's heading in that direction, that's exactly what I meant. But the way the fight scenes happen and the amount of headshots that are in this movie, I would not be surprised if they tried to merge this into the John Wick universe. Like if you see Jennifer Garner at a Continental Hotel at some point, I would be like, I would be totally okay with that. Like, the action scenes are essentially the reason why you go and see this movie, and they are bundles of fun. Albeit there are a couple of these little what the fuck moments when it comes to continuity, but I mean, you just kind of let it go. And to top it all off, loved the way the movie ended. It was completely appropriate. But overall, guys, it's not the most well-made film in the world, but it is definitely worth the price of admission, and I personally had a good time. So I think overall, for a score out of 10, I'm gonna give it a 7.7. Could have used a little bit better direction, and they could have sped up the kind of origin story in the movie, but the action scenes in this movie are the bread and butter, and the bread was toasted pretty much to perfection. And yes, it was crunchy. But anyway, guys, those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Have you seen this movie? Have you heard of it? Hop in the comments. Let me know what's up. Other than that, if you like this review, give me a like, subscribe to all that other bullshit, and I will catch you guys later.